Hi, I'm David Scranton, and thank you for clicking this video. Today, many consumers and many investors are concerned about inflation. Older Americans are also especially worried about this current inflationary spike that we're seeing and the potential effects that it has on their retirement plans. But today, we're talking about ways that you can help protect yourself. So it's time to bring in our guest, Andrew Agemy, founder and CEO of Agemy Financial Strategies, a retirement income store located in Guilford, Connecticut. Andrew, as usual, always great to be here with you.
Thank you for having me again.
So do you see that your clients are coming in to talk to you because they're starting to get worried about inflation? Or do you think that a lot of people are burying their heads in the sand and you really have to take a proactive approach and educate people about what inflation right now is doing to their buying power?
You know, I see both sides, Dave, because, there's a whole spectrum of people out there, different kinds of people, and some are super concerned about inflation. They recognize that Social Security has been given an increase of almost 6%. So that's going to, and they see that they're paying 50% or they're paying 100% more for gasoline today than a year ago. But then the others, they may not come in thinking how that affects their portfolio, but they recognize still that, in the grocery store, they're not buying as much as they used to. So, I think they're aware of it. Whether or not they state it, that's another thing.
So they see what's affecting them today. But do you think most people really understand the long-term effects of inflation on the retirement plan if this problem doesn't get fixed?
I don't think they do. I don't think people know what they don't know. And, sometimes the egregious thing is when people don't know what they don't know, and they don't care to know what they don't know. So that's why I spend so much time trying to educate people, going on shows like this, my radio program and podcasts and all those other things, because people need to know, because they don't understand. They recognize compounding, but they don't understand how the compounding effect hits with inflation. And then, it becomes a very tremendous and difficult thing if they're limited to be 90 or 95 or 100 years old.
Yeah, and that's the problem. Today, longevity is compounding the problem. Years ago, if you retired at 65 and lived to 75, you only had to live with inflation for 10 years. Now it's a different problem because you can't really spend down principal if you're going to live for 30 years in retirement, and you've got to have that inflation hedge. And the longer you live means that you have a higher chance of needing convalescent care or full-time health care. And the inflation rate on that is much higher than the general inflation rate, historically speaking, correct?
Right, exactly. That's terrible. That hurts terribly. And, people don't understand it, but, we're working hard, right? Between you and me and the rest of retirement income store people, trying to help educate them to be aware of what's going on and prepare them for that. That's the biggest thing, being prepared, because there's always opportunity, right? Whenever there's an issue, there's always an opportunity going on.
Yeah. So. And when I mentioned healthcare, it's funny because healthcare costs essentially double every 12 years. So that means you live 24 years, they've quadrupled, and that's a big deal. So bottom line, what's your main message to older investors when you talk to them about inflation?
My main message is, like our good friend Greg Milia talks about, the chickens and the eggs, right? If you got the chickens that are laying the eggs, you don't need the eggs, we get more chickens, and then we get more eggs. And that compounding effect over time can multiply your chickens, multiply your eggs, and put you in a position of being able to have what you need to live the rest of your life. And that's the key, having a good diversification of a portfolio that's touching upon all kinds of different aspects to be able to give you as many eggs as possible whenever they become available at the right price. And the more eggs you have, we want people to live off of eggs in retirement, not off of chicken.
Now, some people might listen to you and think, Andrew wants me to put all my money in bonds. Bonds are called fixed income, and the income is fixed. So that certainly can't give me an inflation hedge. So how are those folks who are thinking that incorrect?
Well, it's like I said earlier, people don't know what they don't know. And they think of fixed income, and they think very, very myopically in regard to that. And the great thing about fixed income is that it is fixed income, and you got this income, you got a paycheck coming in every month quarter, whatever, however often you got these eggs coming in all the time. And that's the beautiful thing. And then you can still get growth with that, because if you don't need all those eggs, you take advantage of buying chickens that are, that are kind of skinny chickens. When they're skinny, then they're on steroids. And so your eggs are bigger than normal. So it creates an opportunity for getting growth, as well as still being able to get a paycheck and getting income if you need that. And if you don't need that, you just, compound it the old fashioned way, to be able to create more.
Sure. So, and it's interesting because with bonds, you're right, the income stays steady. So, it keeps your principal intact. So I know if I came to you at age 62 and said, I want to start spending down my principal, you'd say, don't think about it. But if I came to you at age 80 and said, I need to start spending down a little bit of principal, you probably wouldn't have as big of an objection to that at age 80 as you would at 62, correct?
Right. And I think the key with the bonds is, being, that we watch the market constantly, day in, day out, to take advantage of those opportunities to be able to buy the bonds on a discounted rate, to get them at a good rate, so that that can be, in effect, give people larger eggs than normal. And so as time goes on, if we do need to dig into the principal, that's fine later on. But at 62, 65, 70, we don't want to touch it. We got to, whenever I'm talking to a client, I'm talking to the younger client and an older client at the same time, right? Because that younger client will someday be the older client. So I say, we got to take care of the older client as well as take care of the younger client. And that's the beautiful thing that fixed income allows.
Yeah. And I know when you say fixed income, although we're talking about bonds, you don't mean bonds, you mean some other things in that whole category we loosely call bonds and bond-like instruments. And some things in there actually do give you an inflation hedge potentially by increasing the income, by increasing the dividend over time. Maybe you want to share a little bit about those for just a moment.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right, David. And that's what I referred to earlier, that when people are having a good diversified portfolio, it's not just bonds, but there are things there, like business development corporations. We don't load up on these, but these are something that allows people to be able to get appreciation from a variety of different fashions, for the companies that they're loaning money to, but yet still get an income every quarter or whatever that is, generally speaking, higher than, certainly far higher than what the bank pays, but nevertheless, you put all these things in one basket. There's 6 or 8 different things that we can buy and that we do buy, and we always are moving it around to be able to put it in the client's best interest and to get them the most bang for their buck.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I love the way you said it. We don't have to just plan for the older person. We have to plan for the younger person and the older person that you're going to be. And a lot of people miss this, that you don't just snap your fingers and retire and invest for income, that you've got to start that process 10, maybe 15 years before retirement in preparation for that. So Andrew, as usual, you always have some great words of wisdom, and it's been great having you here. Thank you.
Thanks, David. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thank you for watching today's video on how to inflation-proof your retirement. If you enjoyed it, click the thumbs up button to give us a like, and make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel for new content each and every week.